Today's objective is I can find the measurement of a missing angle in a triangle by writing an equation and applying a strategy. So today's objective is the same as the last 2 days. The only difference here is we're going to be talking about missing angles in triangles. So far we have looked at problems where we are given a whole angle, say 130 degrees. We are given a part and we have to solve for the other part. So to solve this, we use a part-whole chart and subtracted to find the missing angle. Well, we are going to be using the same steps and we're going to be using all of the same strategies that we've used for additive angles and apply it to missing angles in triangles. So before we get started, let's talk about triangles for a second. A triangle has 3 angles. We have seen triangles where we have 3 acute angles. We've seen right triangles where we have a 90-degree and 2 acute angles. And we've also seen obtuse triangles, where we have an obtuse angle and 2 acute angles. While we can see so many different types of triangles and so many triangles that have different angle measurements, there's one thing that is true about all triangles, and that is the angle sum rule. Well, this angle sum rule tells us that all angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So when we say that it is a rule, it means that this is true for all triangles. So one really cool way that we can prove this is if we chopped off each angle in any triangle. So if I just cut these angles off, and normally if we were in school, I would actually take that triangle and snip them off, and we put all of those angles together and line them up on a number line, they would fit perfectly in a straight angle or a straight line. Well, we know that a straight line or a straight angle measures 180 degrees. So that is just one way that we can prove that all angles in every triangle add up to 180 degrees. So one way that we can solve missing angles in triangles is to use this part-whole chart, similar to what we've been using, because we know that every single triangle has 3 angles. So our 3 angles are going to be our 3 parts, and our whole is always going to be 180 degrees. So this is what's really different and really special about these types of problems, that every single part-whole chart that you're going to make for missing angles in triangles, you're always going to start with 100 degrees as your whole. Because like we said, for every triangle, the sum of all 3 angles is equal to 180 degrees. All right, so let's take a look at our first problem, and you'll notice how similar these problems are to the problems that we've been solving in the past 2 days. What is the measurement of angle X? So first thing I notice is we've got a picture. I see in one of my angles, we've got 60 degrees. Another angle, I've got 38 degrees. And then our missing angle is labeled with our variable X. So the first thing we always want to do in these types of problems is draw our visual and label everything we know. So we've done that. The next thing I want to do is draw my part whole chart. So we know that we've got 3 parts here because our triangle has 3 angles. So that's how we know to draw 3 parts. Part, 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 and our whole. So let's go ahead and fill in what we know. We know that one of our angles is equal to 60 degrees. We know another one of our angles is 38 degrees. It's going to be another part. X is our variable. That's what we're going to be solving for. I'll put a question mark there. And the last thing we need to label is our whole. So something that is really important about these types of questions is they are not always going to tell you that the sum of all 3 angles, or your whole, is equal to 180 degrees. This is one of those rules, one of those facts that we have to have memorized and know at the top of our heads to solve these types of problems. Just like we know when we see this little square corner, it means 90 degrees, right? So this 180 degrees, this angle sum rule, this is something that we have to have memorized to put in the whole of our part whole chart. So now we're ready to find our missing angle. So I'm given my whole. We've got 2 parts and a missing part. This tells me that we are going to subtract our parts from our whole to find our missing part. So there's really 2 different ways that we could solve this. If we wanted, we could add 60 plus 38 and then subtract it from 180, or I could just subtract each part one at a time. Let's go ahead and do that. So we start with our whole, 180 degrees. First, I'm going to subtract 60, my first part. Zero minus 0 is 0, 8 minus 6 is 2, and we bring down our 120 degrees, but that's not our answer yet. We still need to subtract 38 degrees. So we take 120 degrees and we subtract that 38 degrees. 0 minus 8, we can't do that, so we go next door and borrow. 10 minus 8 is 2. 1 minus 3, again, can't do that, we have to borrow. 11 minus 3 is 8. So we're left with 82 degrees. That's going to be our missing part. So we can fill in our chart. 82 degrees. So we can fill in over here in our picture, X is equal to 82 degrees. Okay, last thing that we can do is we can check our work by adding up all three parts and making sure they equal 180 degrees. So this is just to check our work. I've got 60 plus 38 plus 82. 8 plus 2 is 10. 6 plus 3 plus 1 is 10. Plus 8 is 18. 180 degrees. All right, so that checks out. The sum of all three of my angles is equal to 180 degrees. And our missing angle is 82 degrees. All right, awesome job. Go ahead and go to the next video and we'll do another problem together.